Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I like the acoustics under this small archway. How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. If you're new around here, then welcome to you. It's nice to see you. It's lovely to see you. Guys, this is Bugsy Malone and mine 100th episode of Tottenham Walks. It's a small milestone, but it's a milestone nonetheless. It's always fun to get out talking and walking about all things Tottenham, despite it being particularly difficult right now, given the fact that we're still, over a month away from the January window, more than a month away still than before we get back to football on the 26th of December, and the fact that the World Cup is taking most people's attention. But we're going to try and find something to discuss with you guys today, and we have found something. It's more transfer news, believe it or not. Before we get into it, guys, do me a favour, smash a like button for me. Smash a comment below the video. And whilst you're there, if you haven't already, please hit the notification bell and the subscribe button so that you guys can be alerted when this channel drops more content on the daily. On the daily! Guys, let's get going, shall we? What's the transfer news today? Bugsy asks. It's about Adrien Rabiot, I told her. She said, the Rabbits. I said, no, not the Rabbits, the Rabiots. And there is more than one Rabio that you have to be fearful of, wary of, when you're talking about this guy. Because he doesn't come by himself. He comes with his agent, his mother, his anchor, Veronique Rabio. Listen, guys, straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm torn on this one. I'm not entirely sure if there's any truth to it anyway. It's probably just, once again, more spurious rumours made up by bored journalists. However, it's the only thing worth talking about, so let's talk about it. Adrien Rabiot plays for France. He's played for France all the way up, every single level, under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, under 18s, under 21s, under 23s, if that does exist. And then also the first team. He scored and played a very, very, very strong performance against Australia just a couple of days ago. And of course the noise and the news starts to re-emerge around, will he get his transfer to the Premier League, his dream destination. He spent all summer being touted as the answer to Erik ten Hag's midfield issues at Manchester United. He only had 1 year on his contract left at Juventus and was looking for about 160 grand a week. That wasn't the reason why Manchester United didn't sign him. It was because of the backlash from the fans and because of the difficulty in dealing with his agent and his mother, Veronique. Look, if Daniel Levy was to be, described as a player agent or encapsulated as an agent, it would be Veronique Rabio. She is a hard baller, taskmaster, allegedly tries to control and make the decisions for Adrien's career. I read up about him and her this morning, going all the way back to when he was at PSG as a child, in the youth system. He was expected to go on a pre-season tour to the Middle East, I think it was Dubai or somewhere like that. And in the end he didn't go because they refused to allow his mother to go with him. Comes across a bit like a mama's boy and is afraid to take the reins of his own destiny and does as he's told. Look, whatever, I'm not going to judge anyone for trusting in their mother, but I'm sure you've heard before about the metaphor of don't mix family with business. It doesn't end up usually going in the right direction. And I think whilst you could say this guy's had a brilliant career, he's played for Paris Saint-Germain, I think he played for Toulouse, I think it was on loan a couple of times. He went to Juventus, and allegedly now, because his contract won't be re-signed by Juventus, they are kind of cutting ties with him or his mother. He has a free transfer opportunity. The Premier League looks a likely destination, and the three clubs that have been touted as potential suitors are Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham. Look, I don't know if we want the baggage. I don't even think we necessarily need him, although the fact that Tottenham have been linked with so many midfielders in the last month, does that suggest that Tottenham are actually interested in finding a fifth man for the midfield? You know, let's suggest that Pape Sarr is, going to be loaned out again, or maybe even sold to make room. But we do have four in Skippy, Højbjerg, Bentancur and Bissouma. And they're four competent players that are all, Premier League level. There's differences between the four of them, obviously. But they all also play somewhat of a 6, somewhat of an 8 role. And Rabio does exactly the same. He is a playmaker, a deep-lying playmaker, similar to like a Brozovic. A different style of player, but similar kind of responsibilities. And, he's very good at controlling the midfield. But I wouldn't pigeonhole him as a 6. I think he would like to be more of a box-to-box. And so that is essentially what we have in Bissouma, Højbjerg and Bentancur. I'm not really sure what Skippy's role is yet. I think that we're still trying to figure that out with the youngster. But I think you'd say he's more of an 8 than a 6. So first of all, is there need at Tottenham? Well, look, the fact that we've been linked with Weston McKennie, the fact we've been linked with Brozovic, the fact we've been linked with him, and half a dozen other players, is either just bored journalists making stories up whilst they're waiting for the window to open, or maybe there's some truth to it that Conte would like to have an extra man, an extra layer, on the off chance that, as I said before, either one or two of them are injured, then you have no options. But especially if you wanted to go to a 3-5-2 ever, or if you wanted to change it up and do something different like a 4-3-3 in the future, then having 3 box-to-box or 6s on the pitch and only one of them on the bench, if they're all fully fit, doesn't give you much wiggle room or respite. So there is some logic to having a 5th competent midfielder. But there's also risk that goes with that, right? Are you going to have players that are unhappy? Because whilst you're doing this 3-4-3, if everybody's fit, you can only really play two of them, and 3 of them will be on the bench. So it's a difficult, you're kind of on the wire, and on one side of the balance, you've got risk of unhappy players, but on the other side if you don't have an additional 5th man, then you risk coming up short with injuries or poor form. So I don't know whether or not Tottenham are actually looking for a player like that. But for me, the problem isn't Rabio as a player. I think he's a brilliant player, a very, very talented player. I don't think he's as good as Brozovic, but Brozovic isn't out of contract in the summer, whereas Rabio is. Weston McKennie, for me, is another one to avoid. I know a lot of people in the community are a big fan of his. I haven't seen too much from him that makes me think he improves us immediately. And if he was to cost 30 million quid, which is what it's touted to be, then he's one that I wouldn't be excited about particularly. The problem with Rabio is, whilst there's value in obviously thinking about the free transfer, do you want to pay someone 170 grand a week net, 160 grand a week net, which would put him at the highest end of our wage structure, who isn't going to play every single game? And the second that there's any trouble, if he's not playing, his mother is going to, cause trouble. And she's caused trouble before with the French team and with the PSG players. I'm pretty sure she's called out Mbappe and I forget the other player right now, but she doesn't just call out the club, she calls out the players and she stirs things up. And so for me, it's trouble on the horizon. And I don't think it's worth the risk. I don't think that he would necessarily play enough to warrant his salary. I think he's good enough, but I don't think an unhappy Rabio would be to the benefit of Tottenham Hotspur. What are your thoughts, guys? Do you like him as a player? You can't doubt his talent. But I think that he's more likely to go to Arsenal or Chelsea. Chelsea need some help in their midfield. They have, an ageing Kante. They have, a kind of hosh-posh of players that, again, don't really fit the particular mould that Tuchel's trying to create. And look, Arsenal definitely need reinforcements in their midfield, because if Xhaka or Partey go down injured for any length of time, then their midfield looks pretty threadbare pretty quickly. And so it makes a lot of sense for Arsenal to get hold of someone like Rabio. And so part of me would think, is there some value in bringing him in to stifle the ability for Arsenal to solve that problem that they have, which is a weak squad or a thin squad? I don't think it's worth it. For me, I'm going to say a thumbs down, not today, for the possible transfer of Adrien Rabiot to Tottenham. I'm also going to say the same thing for McKennie, Weston McKennie. Not for the same reasons. I don't think he's trouble, but I'm just not entirely convinced that he's bringing in more than what we already have. And like I say, for me, I've said it 1,000 times, at the risk of being boring, I'll say it again. If there's limited funds available for any reason whatsoever, then whatever we have needs to be spent in the centre-back and ideally the right-back situation. And we've gone through the names 100 times around what and who those solutions could look like. Guys, let me know your thoughts on Rabio. Is the challenge of Veronique and Daniel Levy butting heads almost worth the watch? Just to see how that goes? Or is it something to avoid? Guys, I hope you're all happy and healthy. Enjoy the rest of the day. England against the USA is on at 6 p.m, is it? 5 p.m. this evening? So that'll be something to look forward to. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, guys, bye-bye.